Hello and welcome to Backstage, bringing you all of the latest from the world of TV and film. I'm Katie Spencer, and joining me this week, it's Sky's arts and entertainment reporters Bethany Manel and Jason Mansouri. Coming up on this week's show.
For 60 hours of constant swimming. But what I'm most afraid of is sharks and man of war.
I founded this institute to take the risk out of love. No more uncertainty, no more wondering if you've chosen the right partner, no more divorce. We were the first to build the machines to conduct the test.
I've not noticed it before, but you're proper beautiful.
Hi, we're gonna play a game.
Look, let's crack on with this week's reviews, and starting this week with one that has already been out in cinemas but's coming out on Netflix now. It's Nyad.
Listen to this. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Don't you want to be fully awake? Your soul ignited by a purpose.
What you want to do has never been done.
I mean, especially not for a woman. Especially not for someone your age.
So, Diana Nyad, in case you haven't heard of her before, she is a world-class athlete who, a few years ago, pulled off this brilliant feat, didn't she, of managing to swim the 110 miles from Cuba to Florida. Now, this is a retelling of her story. She'd attempted it, actually, 30 years before and hadn't actually managed it, had she? And this is dramatising what she went through to pull off this impressive endurance feat.
So 30 years later, she gives it another crack and she climbs the Mount Everest of swimming endurance tests. Of course, it stars the wonderful Annette Bening and also Jodie Foster. And I was lucky enough to catch up with Bonnie Stoll, who was the real-life trainer of Diana Nyad and the director of the film, Chai Vasarhelyi. And I asked Bonnie what was actually the most mind-bending moment of the real-life challenge.
The box jellyfish, for sure. Without a doubt, because we did not expect them. We had no idea they were already in the Gulf, but it was not a pleasant surprise. And Angel, the box jellyfish expert, taught us so much. And they only come up from dusk to dawn, so Angel worked with a swimming company, Fingernails, to get the suit, but it can't be any kind of flotation device, so it can't be silicone. It was kind of a nightmare, and Diana was getting prosthetic for her face, the mask, so the box couldn't get in, and then we heard about a box getting into someone's mouth, and they swallowed it, and that was not a good result, so they had to, swimming in that mask was a nightmare, for me especially. I can't even look at it, it's claustrophobic.
Dare I say it, it's a little bit slow, this one, but I did cry at the end. What did you think, Jason?
Well, I think, first of all, let's take into account the context of this. She was 64 years old. She swam for 52 hours from Cuba to Florida. It's absolutely incredible. So I do think, as a device in a film, yes, we don't want it to be boring, but you have to look at how hard this swim was. And I think the only way you can do that is by sort of making us feel slightly uncomfortable and like we are also going through that ordeal. But overall, I thought it was incredible. I do think the makeup, Felicity Bowering, who did it, was absolutely incredible. The way, this is the point, though. It is torture doing this. You're pushing your body to the absolute limits. Her eyes swell. She gets stung by jellyfish. And this was brought together really well, I think, by Felicity in the makeup department. But what a mission. What a mission. What an achievement as well.
Yeah, I mean, do we think then we're going to be talking about Annette Bening come Oscar season? Is this her year?
It's interesting you touch on the makeup because, I mean, the Oscars, they love a transformation story.
And a biopic.
Exactly. And this kind of endurance training. I mean, Annette Bening wasn't particularly a big swimmer before she started this. Apparently she is now. She's taken on a love of swimming. Pretty athletic woman. But she trained for years to do this so that she was kind of at peak fitness when they filmed. So it's got that challenge element. She looks different. It's the true life story. It's overcoming all the odds. I think we may very well be hearing about this come Oscars, and this could be Annette Bening's time.
And if you fancy watching that, Nyad is out now on Netflix. Streaming, though, on Apple TV+. Let's take a look at Fingernails.
So you'll be shadowing Amir. He's already one of our most successful instructors.
What's the one thing you love most about Maria? Take your time.
I love her hair. It's soft.
It's a nice answer.
It's nice.
The truth is, we're all achingly lonely, and we're endlessly searching for ways to fill that void.
Can I ask you something? Why do you work at the Institute?
Maybe understand love a little better.
This one is directed by Christos Nikou and stars the wonderful Jessie Buckley, as well as you've got people in here like Riz Ahmed, and from The Bear you've got Jeremy Allen White, who is fantastic in this. It imagines a world where you don't have to worry about dating apps to find your soulmate, if you like, but what you do have to be prepared to do is rip out a fingernail.
Oh dear.
Fairly squeamish if you take a look at that part of this film, but it's an interesting premise, this one.
I'd sign up. Skip. Get no Tinder, no Bumble Bimbles. I don't even know what they're called. I generally don't have any apps on my phone. But yeah, I'd sign up with a fingernail.
Well, as somebody who's recently stopped being a nail biter and grown my nails, I'm not quite sure I'd want them ripped off in the name of love. But I like what that's saying. It's saying love's a bit painful, isn't it? And you've got to maybe go through some hardship. And I also like the idea that the director was given the idea when he was kind of swiping through on something like Tinder, and you're using your thumb and your finger, and you're using your fingers to do it. But actually, it's all about the algorithm, isn't it? It's not you. You're not in control. I mean, this says some clever things. This is Black Mirror, isn't it? Under another name. I quite like that.
Look, we were fortunate enough to catch up with Christos Nikou, and he spoke a bit about that, the fact that he was going through a bit of a dark time in his own love life, and so he decided to come up with this as a way of sort of venting his thoughts on the whole dating world nowadays.
I don't think that it was an image or something that I read, but it was something here and here in a way. So it was more my own experience, and as I was trying to understand what is love and why love is so difficult and why I cannot fall in love in a way sometimes. So I think that was the initial idea. And then I was trying to understand around me why people are falling in love in a little bit strange way right now by choosing going through dating apps, through social media, but especially through dating apps, and swapping right or left with their fingers and nails in order to find love.
Fingernails is available to stream now on Apple TV+. Look, let's move on to one then that premiered at the Cannes Film Festival earlier this year. How to Have Sex is out now in cinemas.
My mum's life, I'm not joking.
I just look proper, yeah? Best holiday ever.
This actually won one of the biggest prizes at Cannes, the Un Certain Regard prize, which is the one that you really want to win. And it is Molly Manning Walker's feature directorial debut.
Yeah, it's a really interesting film in the fact that it, perhaps unsurprisingly, How to Have Sex. It talks about sex, but specifically sort of consent and the questions around that as well. And it's centered around these three young girls. They're on holiday, they're partying, they're drinking lots of drinks that are blue and green and different colours. It really did actually make me feel quite young. But I guess the thing that it really poses is that it's this idea of consent and how do we look at it. And we spoke to the director, Molly Manning Walker, and she pointed out that, realistically, when it comes to this question, it's not just black and white.
Yeah, I think that's that you've got exactly to the point of it, is that it's like become too binary, and hopefully it can become more human, and you can just like understand that someone's going through a good time or how they're feeling, and therefore react to that. And I think that's like an empathy that society should engage with. So I don't know, maybe it's about like lifting the veil of shame around the conversation in order to talk about how people feel and around sex, and therefore allowing people to kind of engage with their experiences more.
How to Have Sex is out now in cinemas. That's it from us for this week. We will be back again this time next week. But look, if you've liked what you've seen, don't forget that you can listen to the longer Backstage podcast, which is available if you scan the QR code, which is on your screens at the moment, or just look up the podcast, however it is that you usually search for your podcast. My thanks to Bethany Manel and Jason Mansouri. And we will be back again very soon. Bye.